Hey guys, my name is Ryan and welcome to Overwatch Central. We're behind the scenes in one of the Overwatch League press rooms and I'm here with Numlocked. Numlocked, of course, we've done plenty of videos talking about Reinhardt and Winston, the Master Guides way back when. We're at the Overwatch League now and I think in terms of a journey, you've probably had one of the biggest ups and downs, and now that you're here and just beating Dallas, you unfortunately didn't play, but what's it like to be here now? Just as the Overwatch League is here, you're an actual player on it, so many players have been wanting to do this. How does it feel, first and foremost?
I mean, it's kind of overwhelming, honestly, seeing the support and the how involved everybody is in terms of just the community, watching it, commenting on it, posting about it, even just the main subreddit for Overwatch, which has never really seen any competitive talk at all. I checked it this morning before coming out to the game today, and there's stats talk on there, there's game talk, there's clips from plays being made, and seeing all that, it's kind of wow, I can't believe we're actually here and it's actually happening after all. Because don't forget, this has been in development for a long time, and there's been talks of this happening for so long, that for it to finally happen and be as big as it is right now, it's pretty insane. For
sure. Even on the way here, I saw the big billboards that you have as well, which is it's interesting to see that it's here now. You didn't play today. This is just after the Dallas game where you managed to win. I think that surprised a lot of people. Just sort of what is your role on Valiant overall then? Are you sort of trying to do the same thing as Fate? Are you trying to maybe pick up the Arisa? Because you're a main tank player, but there's now 3 solid tank options, potentially, maybe even more down the line with whatever. So what is your role in your eyes, at least?
I'd say I'm more of a conservative and passive player than Fate. Fate is definitely, he is the aggressive brains of Valiant and controls the amazing dives that we've been having. And with the core that they had from Immortals before, with him, Envy, and Agilities, coming forward and even just swapping out Agilities for Silk Thread, that still keeps the same synergy there. So our aggressive playstyle is definitely he's the head of all that. With me, it's a lot more passive, safer, and I guess just kind of just kind of polar opposites playstyles we have. Whether that's on the same hero or on different heroes, obviously I'm more known for my Reinhardt than my Winston. But yeah, there's no we both split up the playtime in practice, so we both get half and half of practice. But I definitely agree that he has the better synergy with Envy, just due to their history together on this team.
The main thing is you have some rosters, Houston springs to mind as a team that only has 1 main tank, and that's a lot of pressure on somebody like Moom if he's sort of not performing for whatever reason. How good for you when it comes to improving is it to have somebody to not only learn from but also compete with for that #1 slot? I imagine your play must have come on tenfold by just having somebody on your team like Fate.
I mean, when I was on NRG and we were focusing on rebuilding for the Overwatch League, Fate was actually one of the tanks that I studied a lot to improve myself. Him and I think it was Mano at the time, or Yanis, sorry. Yeah, it was Yanis and Fate. They were 2 tanks I studied, and they have 2 very polar opposite playstyles as well. Yanis is a lot more reserved, and Fate is obviously aggressive. So being able to sit, when you're not playing, to be able to sit and watch not just the tank as well, but the rest of your team, and then the enemy tank, and just pick up the little things that they do, and figure out what kind of playstyle they have and how you can bring that into your own playstyle to improve yourself. Or just make yourself not so one-dimensional, because that's a problem that a lot of teams with 1 tank might have, is that they're not all tanks are very versatile players. They might have 1 playstyle that they're used to playing, and they kind of stick to that without putting too much thought into it. So having 2 tanks on the team helps avoid that, but also I find myself being able to be quite versatile anyway, because I spend a lot of time studying other tanks. So I pick up a lot of little things. Yeah. And obviously that's, as well, playing on a team with 2 tanks, that's something that if I notice things while I'm watching, I can bring up to Fate, and same with him for me. Yeah. If we notice things that ourselves are doing, or the enemy tanks are doing, we'll have a little chat about that with each other.
Yeah, for sure. We're kind of in a bit of a spam matter. I think, we got the Junkrat Mercy changes, which we've spoken a lot to with players like Tavik and no doubt with some of the spots that we want to talk to. Tanks have been in this weird position, especially main tanks, for a while, where it almost feels like you have no control over the game. Now, not only are you a pro player, but you also go ham in ladder and stuff and tend to be we're the top 10 players in the EU ladder, no doubt, probably tearing it up in the US as well. What, in your eyes, is there a problem with playing main tank? Would you sort of deter people from doing it? Or, how would you like to see heroes like Reinhardt, who we both played a lot, you especially, seeing them sort of fall down and down? What is your sort of perspective on that from a high tier ladder player that plays a lot of it?
The issue I have with ranked right now is that everyone seems to have an opinion, and they're not so keen to listen to everyone else's. It's an issue I have more with American ranked than I do with European. In Europe, it tends not everyone's very vocal, so if someone is vocal in those games, it's very easy to get everyone else to listen to you. So obviously, as a tank player and as a player myself, I'm very vocal. And so if I start talking a lot in Europe and start calling, people tend to listen, which makes carrying the games a lot easier, because that's kind of the best way to carry a game as a tank. I mean, there's not as many flashy plays you can do. Obviously, you can get big ults or good dives with Winston, but outside of that, it's mostly reliant on the calls and the timing you make on those plays. Yeah. In America, I find that a lot harder to do if I'm not playing on my main account. If I'm playing on my main account, people will see the name and they'll tend more to listen. But if I'm playing, on an alt account and my identity is hidden, that's not an issue on Europe. But in America, people just think it's a random player, don't listen to them. Whereas I think it's important, if a player is trying to be very vocal, it's important to listen to that player. I mean, if you don't agree with it, then you can obviously try, counter call, state your reasons for disagreeing. But I think it's good to have a healthy discussion in ranked.
I think there's always that thing where one of the best bits of advice I've had with playing Winston, especially by a friend of ours, Istux, is when you're playing something like Winston, you can often feel like you're trying to carry, but it's more trying to make sure that the enemy doesn't carry necessarily, especially if they have a good Widow or Genji. But often, I guess, a big mistake, I'm sure you probably have a lot more insight to this, is trying to do too much as these heroes as well. Like trying to shut down the Widow, but also trying to stall and to get people for your supports and that kind of thing. I guess for a tank, you have a lot of things to check off that often it can feel that I don't know what I'm doing here sort of feels situation.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely a problem where a player will put a target on an enemy's back where they think they're carrying so much that they need to be constantly shutting them down. Then they make the error where they're trying too hard to shut them down and they'll be doing it at the wrong times. And by doing that, it's kind of giving them twice the advantage they had originally. Yeah. So it's important that you also understand your team composition in comparison to the enemy team composition and understand how you can play into it. So for example, if you're running soldier style comps, where you've got to go a bit slower, it's more about taking the ground and making those hard dives. However, if the enemy Winston is jumping away to make space, then you know that he's not going to be able to follow up on any dive you make. So even though you have a soldier, you can make a hard dive on their back line because their Winston can't follow up. There's lots of little intricacies like that you need to understand as a tank player that can help you with not necessarily shutting down players, but kind of carrying the game.
Yeah, I think it's quite easy to plateau as a tank player, especially when it comes to improving or just climbing in rank. How you said about comms especially being a way that you can potentially carry yourself. Are there any other ways or any advice that you can give to somebody that's like me and Miska play a lot of Winston, a lot of Reinhardt for a lot of the time, and for those kind of players that want to improve on these certain heroes and to make a difference almost, how can you do that when you have heroes like Junkrat spamming a lot and Orisa, and it's a very difficult time to be playing some of these heroes?
I mean, in that case, it's a lot about trying to command your team and what they should be picking as well. Obviously, there's games where that's going to be difficult, and you just need to move on from those games. Don't be so hung up on the fact that you're going to lose SR. That's the wrong way to approach ranked. If you're focusing purely on your SR, you want to be focusing on things you can do to improve yourself. So, be thinking about mechanical plays you're making, how you can do those better, what mistakes you made. Think about your awareness. Are you keeping track of the enemy team's ults? Are you tracking your teammates' ults and telling them when? Are you making sure your teammates are using your ults in the right situations? Are you using your ults to counter the enemy ults correctly? Little things like that. If you're keeping track of those, going from game to game, and you focus on those things rather than your SR, you'll find ranked a more enjoyable experience.
Yep. Just to sort of wrap around penultimately to the first question that we had. You've had a career so far, very highs, very big lows, certainly looking back to the NRG days, I suppose. What's that been like for you? Because you built yourself up slowly by playing on Envision, you've just grafted at the game continuously. Now you're on an Overwatch League team, fighting for a first place spot on a team that just beat one of the favourites for it. What has that been like for you? It must have been an emotional roller coaster, but to sum it up, what was your 2017 really?
It was scary, honestly. Around after the NRG period, I was worried that I wasn't going to get another shot going pro again, just because I knew what the public perception of me was. I never doubted myself. I know what I'm capable of, and I'm a highly competitive person, so it was ending it there was never going to be enough for me. But just knowing what Reddit had said and how the effect that could have had on future teams was scary, because a lot of teams were turning me down after NRG. They wouldn't even give me a chance to try out for them. I'm very lucky that Envision did, and then that just worked out the way it did. We went all the way to playoffs with them, a very underrated team that before contenders people wouldn't have expected them to make it there at all. And so obviously giving me that platform to show myself off and say that, you know, I'm actually good individually, gave me the chance to try out for all these Overwatch League teams and actually gave me a ton of offers that I could then, you know, I could actually think about where I wanted to go rather than be in a panic to choose where to go.
Yeah, that's quite interesting because I feel that a lot of people, what they say on like Reddit especially, can be quite flippant, that they don't necessarily mean it. What would you say to those people that actually, you know, obviously made like a big difference to you, probably the other players of NRG? Like, should people be a little bit more cautious with what they say? Because even though they might be like joking a little bit, a bit sarcastic, a bit of kappa, but like it feels like it can actually be detrimental to some players that may have not made it to the Overwatch League.
Yeah, I mean, that's always going to be the case, and we have no control over the public perception. They're always going to say things that they don't really understand because they don't understand Overwatch fully.
Yeah.
But I mean, having said that as well, it's not like NRG wasn't bad. Like, as a team, we were very bad. And you know, if the team is playing bad, it's very easy to look bad as an individual.
Especially a role like a tank, where
Yeah.
often it can feel like you have very little sort of control over the game. But I guess just to finish on, like, what are your sort of feelings, I guess, just to wrap up? The game's looking in a really good spot. You've got the Mercy Junkrat changes that I think most people are looking at as quite positive. The league set, everything seems to be going into fifth gear, really. Are there any sort of final closing thoughts? And what's your path to pro, essentially, really, as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying the direction the game is heading. Like, minus the Mercy, how Mercy and Junkrat currently are, I think the game's in a really healthy spot in terms of hero playability. Like, we're seeing a lot of, like, I mean, there was a stat, I think, yesterday for Overwatch League in that every hero bar Symmetra, has been played so far. So that was really nice to see.
Where can people find you as well? Because no doubt you'll be playing a lot of Overwatch.
Yeah.
Trucking it out.
Twitter at Numlocked. YouTube is Numlocked with a 1 instead of an L, and then my Twitch is Numlocked.
Cool. And that's everything for this time. Do let us know what you think in the comments below about the whole tank situation as well. Do check out all of the Valiant stuff as well. Big result today with Dallas as well, so do definitely check out the VOD for that game because it was pretty crazy. Yeah. The Junktown game especially. But thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you next time.